So you've been using what I teach in my CBT videos. You've reduced your safety behaviours, challenged your thoughts, tested the beliefs that are driving your anxiety, and done lots of graded exposure. It's taken time, but it's working. Your anxiety is reduced significantly, and you were just feeling like you were getting your life back when, BAM! Relapse. It may have been a huge panic attack, or a health anxiety attack, or maybe something happened and you can't stop worrying about it. You're back to square one. What's the point even trying to fix your anxiety? Relapses can be so demoralizing, but don't despair, because I'm going to tell you what causes relapses and how to deal with them. The first thing you need to know is that they are completely normal. Everyone has them. It's just part of the journey to recovery. But let me explain why they happen. You may have heard of something called neuroplasticity. Let me explain how it works. I've been teaching my son how to stop on ice skates. I noticed that he had a habit of looking down at his skates as he was stopping. I tell him not to do this because it puts you off balance and can make you stumble. And just as I would think he's got it, his bad habit would return and he would stumble again. Let's take a look at what is going on in his brain. In his brain, there are two paths the electrical signals can take. They can follow the path that makes him do it right, or the path that makes him do it wrong. But the more times he did it right, the more neural connections were made, which means that it's a lot easier for him to do it right than to do it wrong. But how does this relate to anxiety? Well, the same thing happens with anxiety. But instead of these connections being made in the part of the brain that deals with balance and motor skills, it's happening in the part of the brain that deals with threat and creating a fear response. If you've had anxiety for years, you will have lots of bad habits that you've repeated many times. Habits like self-checking, reassurance seeking, and avoidance. Your neural connections associated with these behaviours will be numerous and very strong. So your electrical signals always take this easy path, making you repeat these behaviours, which reinforces your anxiety. When you stop reassurance seeking, avoiding situations, and self-checking, the connections weaken. When you start doing things like behavioural experiments or graded exposure, new connections are formed. Now the electrical signals have a choice. Take the path to an anxiety response, or take the path to no anxiety response. But in the early days of recovery, these new healthy neural paths are weak. So quite often the signals will take the anxiety path, and that is what's causing the relapse. If you feel demoralized and give up, the positive new paths will soon disappear. But if you continue to do all the things that I teach on my channel, the healthy paths will get stronger and stronger, making it much more likely that signals will take the correct path, and soon you will be back on track. But it's very easy to get frustrated with yourself when you've had a relapse. You've caught yourself Googling symptoms again, or avoiding going somewhere because of the fear of a panic attack. And now your anxiety is sky high again. But ask yourself this: would it be right for me to be angry with my son for not doing his stops correctly every time when he's still learning? No, I would remind him how to do it correctly and encourage him to try again. So be patient with yourself. Be kind to yourself. Learning how to beat your anxiety is really hard, especially if you've repeated your bad habits for many years. Another thing that can cause your brain to choose the wrong path is being stressed or being tired. Sometimes if you've had a bad day, it's easier for your brain to take the more familiar anxiety path rather than the no anxiety path. But just accept that it's happened and carry on doing all the right things you've learned to overcome your anxiety. This can be very hard to do after a panic attack or if you're still feeling really anxious, so ease yourself back in gently. Let's say you manage to reduce your blood pressure check-in from 10 times a day to just twice a day. But then you had an attack of health anxiety and you're back to 10 times a day. Rather than trying to get straight back to twice a day, try to reduce it to 8 times a day, then 6, then 4, and eventually back to 2. And then continue working towards the target that you had before the relapse. Or if it's panic attacks and your relapse happened when you were near the top of your graded exposure list, go back to something a bit easier on your list to get your confidence back. And then work your way back to where you were before the relapse. Relapses will only set you back months if you let them. If you start doing all the right things again, you can be back on track within just a few days. And if you keep repeating the correct behaviours again and again, the relapses will get less and less, and your brain will eventually always take the path of no anxiety, and life will be good again.